Ladies and gentlemen, we are live tonight for another edition of NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005. It is race number 20 of 36 on the custom schedule season for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, and a new race at that. Not a very new racetrack, a racetrack that we are all familiar with at the Talladega Superspeedway, but under the lights for the first time ever in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. It is the running of the Alabama 500. Under the lights at Talladega. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into tonight's live commentary, realistic commentary for the video game side. Again, this coming weekend, I will be commentating both the Xfinity and the Cup Series race. Friday night for the Xfinity Series race, approximately 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday as well. With a pre-race starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that will be live streamed leading up to the start of the race. I do have to work both of those days, but I will be home in plenty of time from work to be able to get you guys that race coverage. Doing both races because I did not do the Richmond commentary this last weekend. I plan on going to my grandparents to watch the race over there and did that, so giving you guys the opportunity to listen to live commentary of two races this coming weekend. But as far as tonight goes, we have business to deal with. It is a tight points battle coming into tonight's race at Talladega. 49 points is all the separation between first and second in the standings. Greg Biffle and Dale Earnhardt Jr. running 1-2 in the points. For Greg Biffle, he has struggled on the super speedways in both the Busch and the Cup Series, excluding, of course, winning the season opener in the Busch Series race at Daytona. But the Cup Series, it has not gone well in the super speedways for him. Hopefully he can turn that around quickly tonight and hold on to this points lead by the end of it. Dale Jr., we all know how good he is at Talladega, especially in the early to mid-2000s with this DEI number 8 car. We'll see how he'll carry things on today. Into qualifying, 2 laps to try and set the quick time for the Subway Ford of Greg Biffle. 500 miles under the lights at Talladega for the first time ever. Billy Kramer, Carsman Boy, welcome to the stream. Thanks for being the first down in the chat below. Dark Crypto, welcome as well. Talladega is bringing a whole new game today. Of course, this is a very worn out surface as well. I would have to imagine that the nighttime skies are probably going to help the conditions a little bit more, allowing a little bit more grip around this track. We'll have to wait and see. It's another longer race this season. Back-to-back 500-mile races leading into a 600-mile race in this stretch of the season, as the next race of the season is the Coca-Cola 600. Before that, though, tomorrow night we have the All-Star race starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then our Coke 600 for NASCAR 05 will be on Thursday. Through the tri-oval, Biff will hit the start-finish line, and he'll start his first of 2 qualifying laps to try and sit on the pole. He's only qualified on the pole twice this season, and one of which was actually in the last race at Speedway Boulevard. Or sorry, in the second to last race at Speedway Boulevard. Qualified 4th at California yesterday. Dale Jr. qualified on the pole for that one. Greg Biffle has won the last 2 races coming into this one today. He was able to get a max points day in both of those races as well, leading the most laps and going on to win. The good qualifying efforts have definitely helped with that. We'll see if he can have another good qualifying effort today, even on a super speedway. There it is. First lap, good enough. 49.365 pole for Greg Biffle for just the 3rd time this season in 20 races. He will be starting on the pole. It looks like Jeff Gordon will start outside of the front row. And we're going to get things kicked off here tonight at Talladega in the Alabama 500. Night racing at Dega begins. Mark DeMars, welcome into the stream as well. A race that you guys are definitely not going to want to miss. It will be action-packed throughout. Greg Biffle gets a great launch into turns 1 and 2 off the initial start. Hopefully he's not going to get too far out ahead of the pack as they quickly close off the exit of turn 2. Biffle blocking, and his teammate Kurt Busch is going to pull up to the outside now. So 2 Roush Fenway Fords at the front of the field early on, a half a lap in. Busch down to block Dale Jr. as well. Biffle will follow. Follow in the sense out of the rearview mirror, seeing what the 97 car did. But here comes Jeff Gordon on the outside for Hendrick Motorsports, trying to get the run for the 24. He wants to lead the opening lap of the race. Biffle and Busch have worked well together on the super speedways this season when they have been together, and that's going to allow Greg Biffle to lead lap 1 by about a car length over Jeff Gordon. Gordon is in second place still. Biffle going to move up, trying to block and hold that outside lane back. And Gordon's going to have another run on the back straightaway. The Biffle's, again, going to be able to block. Dale Jr. in line behind the 24. He qualified 6th, already up a couple spots. Santiago Kid, welcome to the stream. And you can see out of the rear view of Greg Biffle at the top of the screen just how packed it is. Middle of the pack, they are 3 by 3. Definitely not the place you're going to want to be in this one. That is where the big one could strike at any moment throughout the course of this race today. Maybe even multiple big ones by the end of it. Even if you go to the exhibition races we had at Daytona earlier this season with the Budweiser Shootout and even the dual race, Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle were in the same dual race at Daytona. And the qualifications for the Daytona 500. The Daytona 500, of course, they worked well together. All speed weeks. The first Talladega race we had this season. And the Aaron's 499, they worked well together. And even in the night race at Daytona, the Pepsi 400 a few races ago, also worked well together. Greg Biffle needs to try to find a way, again, to have a solid points day, though, today. Dale Jr. is already up to second, making his way around both Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch that last lap. He has a run to the outside. Gordon stays low. Jr.'s in the wall in the tri-oval. Trying a little bit too hard, and he'll lose a couple positions now, and it looks like the pack got stacked up from about maybe 7th or 8th on back, and it is a probably 7 or 8 car breakaway right now at the front of the field. And we're split into 2 giant packs, so something happened behind Dale Jr., and I wonder if Jr. hitting the wall might have stacked up a couple cars further back and almost caused an accident already on just lap 4. Jr. all by himself on the outside. There's 1 car behind him, but he's a few car lengths back. And now that the Roush cars have gotten split up for a moment, there's 2 Hendrick Chevys of Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon trying to work together into the tri-oval. Gordon has 3 wins this season. Jimmy Johnson still winless. In fact, Gordon's the only driver to win at Hendrick Motorsports so far this season. Terry Labonte also winless along with rookie Brian Vickers. Gordon definitely looks fast here early on. He had a fast car at California and led a lot of laps. Over 70 laps led for Jeff Gordon in the last race. Kind of faded in the second half. Didn't look as strong as what he did in the first half once he lost that track position. Jimmy Johnson up to second. Johnson outside the top 10 in points after 3 engine failures in the last 4 races. Did come away with a top 5 at California, though, 2 days ago. So a little bit of a resurgence. Looks like 2 cars are starting to lose what was a 7-car pack. Now it's just 5 cars at the front of the field. And 1 car at the very rear of the field looks to have blown an engine in turns 1 and 2. You can see that on the track map on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. There is a slow car working his way off of turn 2. We'll be able to see who that is likely this time by. I don't think they're going to be able to get to pit road by the time the leaders are going to get there. And Biffle has led the first 6 laps now when we cross the start-finish line this time by. Greg Biffle needs to lead 87 laps today to eclipse 2,000 laps led in the first 20 races this season. Just to put that in perspective, Kyle Larson led about 2,200 laps last year in the NASCAR Cup Series over a full season, and that was the most ever in a 36-race NASCAR Cup Series season. Greg Biffle is on pace to potentially break what would, I guess, be a future record, considering this is the 2004 season. That is the record he is trying to chase. There is a chance he could eclipse that 2,000 lap lead mark today. Sterling Marlin in the 40 car was the first driver to blow an engine just 7 laps into today's race. Unfortunately for Marlin, his chances of winning out the window. He's a great super speedway racer, has a lot of wins. In fact, the majority of his wins have come at the high banks at Daytona or Talladega throughout his NASCAR Cup Series career. But he will not be a factor in the finish of this one. Ethan, welcome to the stream as well. Yep, Dega. And remember, Talladega is the spot of our championship in the Cup Series side of this custom schedule season. So we do have a third and final race yet to go to. This is the second Talladega race of the season, just past halfway. But we have one more still to come, and that is where the champion will be crowned. So it's great to see Biffle leading here early on with qualifying on the pole. But at the same time, he needs to be able to actually finish up towards the front of the field. Something he has not really been able to do on the super speedways. At least consistently, especially the Cup Series. Just to put it in perspective, even in the Busch race, he won at Daytona earlier this season. The second trip back to Daytona in the Busch Series, just a couple, actually it was middle of last week when that race happened. He finished 35th, 1 lap down. Track position doesn't seem to matter as much on the super speedways compared to other racetracks, but Greg Biffle feels that it does. And obviously wants a chance to lead the most laps as well. He's going to have a great chance of being able to do that the longer he stays out in the lead. 10 laps in, caution free so far. Had over 10 people watching in the opening 10 laps of today's race. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Looks like we're up to 5 likes right now. Definitely hit that if you haven't already, and subscribe again for more daily NASCAR content. Well, Junior's dad won 10 times at Talladega, but Dale Jr. himself also won 6 times at Talladega, including, I believe, 5 times with DEI. And of course, he's running the DEI number 8 Budweiser car here today. Maybe a newer challenge at Talladega, though, with this being the first night race. Maybe going to even the playing field a little bit more than what Talladega would already even the playing field. It looks, for the most part, like there's pretty much one giant pack still. And then you have these scraggling cars up at the front of the field just trying to maintain their position after that stack up on lap 4 somewhere in the middle of the pack, which caused that breakup. I guess it would have been more towards the back half of the top 10. For the most part, these guys are staying single file. It's going to help them, but they still don't have the numbers game that the big pack has. So as long as they can be clean in that giant pack, they will catch this, what is now a 5-car group. It was 7 originally, but the back 2 had lost the draft. I think Dale Jr. might have been one of those 2 cars. And I think Kurt Busch is still hanging on to 4th. I can't tell who's in 5th place behind him, though. Of course, we know Greg Biffle's the leader, Johnson's 2nd, and Jeff Gordon is 3rd. Biffle just ran his fastest lap of the race that last time by at 48.939. Of course, faster than in qualifying, but of course all the laps today are likely going to be ran faster than what the qualifying laps were in virtue of the draft, even with Biffle being the lead car in the draft, and he's not really maintaining a higher speed. He's going full throttle. He's still maxing out about over 195 miles an hour on corner entry. 195 that time going into turn 1. And he kind of pulled Jimmy Johnson a little bit. Johnson maybe trying to back up and get a run. And he has Gordon behind him. Those teammates trying to work together. But another thing is there's just not really a whole lot of cars in the pack, so the runs aren't that big right now to be able to get around the 16 of Biffle. Biffle making the blocks look very easy because for the most part it is. There's actually quite a bit of separation even between Jeff Gordon in third and Kurt Busch in fourth. Qualifying record at Talladega is 1987, 212 plus miles an hour. Bill Elliott, yes it is. A record that will never be broken, I would have to imagine. As long as these engines are restricted on the super speedways, it will never be broken. Billy Carjoy, welcome to the stream. Two trivia questions will be coming up tonight. I did not give you guys one last night, so two trivia questions tonight on the channel throughout the 500-mile race coming later on. We'll have one right about the halfway mark again, and then we'll have one another time in this race as well. Jeff Gordon going to the inside of his teammate Jimmy Johnson now. Not really working together. Jimmy still almost got to the outside of Greg Biffle even with no help. That's going to be even harder though to get a run as they side draft each other for second. But Gordon's on the bottom as is Biffle, and that should allow Gordon to clear Johnson off of turn 4. And he is clear, but he does not move up. He stays right along that yellow line in the bottom lane. Now he moves up in the middle of the tri-oval, at least fake to move up. And there he goes. So now he is back on the outside. Biffle's led the first 15 laps. Yeah, I'm doing two trivia questions because I didn't do one during last night's race at Chicagoland for the Busch Series. $14 people watching, only 7 likes. Again, like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. You're watching the Alabama 500 at Talladega under the lights on NASCAR 05. You're new to this series. We are now on race 20 of this custom schedule season on this game, trying to win Greg Biffle his first championship. He was my favorite driver when I was growing up. Of course, running part-time this year with New York Racing, so kind of coincidental that all that's playing out while we're doing the series, but at the same time, we'll see if we can do it. We could not get him a championship in his rookie season in NASCAR Thunder 04, so we're trying it again in 05. And we're going to keep trying it again if we can't get the championship won. This is a season-long points format with this custom schedule championship, just like it was on Thunder 04 with the old Winston Cup points format. This one is primarily like the Winston Cup points format. The only difference is the winner gets an extra 5 points versus the actual Winston Cup points format. So, winning the race means just a little bit more under this points format. Even looks like 4th and 5th place are starting to space out a little bit more as well. And if you're wondering why the pack is so spaced apart, there was a stack up on lap 4 in the tri-oval. Dale Jr. had gotten into the outside wall and really stacked up the back half of the top 10 on back. They're in one giant pack for the most part, as you see on the track map. But then you have Greg Biffle, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, the top 3 in this lead pack. Kurt Busch is in 4th, and then it's just kind of single file on from back there. Really from Kurt on back until you get to that giant pack, which is probably running from 8th on back, because it originally was a 7-car group at the front of the field when that contact initially happened on lap 4. But it's a little harder to hang on to the draft with the Gen 4 cars, so the less cars you have in the pack, the harder and harder it's going to be. And I think you've kind of seen that even with the next gen car, with the cars at the tail end of the pack have a hard time trying to stick together, and even cars that have, say, faster equipment have a hard time just trying to keep up. The lower car count in the dual races at Daytona in real life this season is a big example of that. The runs can still be very, very big. As far as the closing rates go, that is if you can actually stay in the draft to give yourself that shot. A lot of passing going on for second place back and forth, though, between Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon. They're not working as a cohesive unit right now, and Greg Biffle has, again, led every lap from the pole so far. That stack-up really helped him. It hasn't been a gigantic run really since then, as his pack is split apart. We have had 2 caution-free races in the Cup Series this season, and in fact, we're just coming off a caution-free race in the Cup Series on Sunday at California, which was our last race on this season. All 500 miles, no yellow. The other one was at Bristol for the Food City 500-day race. I doubt this one's going to go caution-free, though, tonight. We'll just have to wait and see. We're at lap 21. Fuel window is going to be right between 34 and 38 laps in tonight's race. Might see some drivers pitting even a little bit before that, especially with the front of this pack being spaced out. Not a lot of drafting help. Greg Biffle, who's led every lap so far, obviously hasn't been able to draft off of anybody in front of him, so he's definitely using a lot of fuel. He has been 100% on the throttle since the green flag dropped. It definitely does look like 4th place is catching up, and I don't think it's Kurt Busch anymore. I think Kurt Busch is back to 5th place. Kurt was in 4th for a little while, but yeah, whoever that 4th place car is, it looks like it may be Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 who caused that stack up to begin with. You know, he wants to lead laps as many as he can as well. He wants to prevent Biffle from getting 10 bonus points. Those are the 2 drivers racing for a championship as of right now. Just 16 races to go on the season after the checkered flag flies tonight. 49 points separate Greg Biffle from Dale Jr. Biffle, the points leader. He's led all but 1 race in the point standings this season. And that was a few races ago where Dale Jr. took the lead after winning his first race of the year at the Texas Road Course. River Hippo Tuber, welcome to the stream. Easy win for the Biff tonight, right? I hope so. For those of you that also don't know, my luck on the super speedways on the EA Sports video games, I usually don't win. Let's just say that much. I haven't won a points-paying cup race on a super speedway yet in these EA Sports video games. And I have only done it once in a non-cup race, which was in the Busch Series at Daytona. Oh, contact between the Hendrick Chevrolets of Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon in the tri-oval. And Biffle's going to have about a 6 to 7/10 of a second lead into turn 1. I don't know what happened there. If one tried to throw a block on the other, Johnson was ahead of Gordon. But they made contact. I think Gordon got squeezed into the wall. We continue to stay green. And they're going to have a massive run on Biffle when they get to him, because there are more cars in line behind him all of a sudden with that stack up, and Biffle's got such a big lead. He's going to try to block. And if he can block it, it'll be impressive. Not really drafting off of him right now. They're on the outside. Biffle on the bottom. As he moves up, though, as they get closer, if they don't draft right in line behind him, they're probably going to try to undercut and cross him over. Now they go to the bottom in the middle of 1 and 2. They're getting a big run. And here comes Jimmy Johnson to the outside. Biffle going to go and try to time it right. He'll move up now. It's a little early. Gordon's going to actually hop out of line down to the bottom. And he does not go with Johnson. So that did not really help Johnson very much. And Greg Biffle will hold on to the race lead into turn 3. Jimmy still closing though. Faking a move to the outside. Stays right along the yellow line on the bottom of the racetrack. Now goes high again off 4. Again though, Jeff Gordon stays on the bottom. So those two have just not worked well together, at least in the early going of this race. And that is Dale Jr. in 4th. I can't confirm. It is a big red car. It's an all red car. I don't think there's another one in the field. At least that isn't a fantasy driver. Gordon moves up in front of Jimmy Johnson. He has him cleared down the backstretch. Biffle going to move up as well. And Biffle qualified on the pole for just the 3rd time this season. First on a super speedway this year. So maybe after what is now the 4th super speedway race of the season, maybe he's finally figured out his setup. He's really good at single car speed. Can help him maybe control the pack a little bit more than in the prior races. It only took 2 seasons of NASCAR Thunder 04, our 2nd season of the Cup Series in this game, plus 2 Busch seasons and 2 truck seasons of racing at least a few races on super speedways. 1 to 3 races on super speedways for each track. Usually more than 3 total. Dale Jr. going to pull out of line all the way down to the bottom, but Jimmy Johnson is going to go down to block the 8. That's going to build up a lot of momentum to get to the inside of Jeff Gordon. Dale Jr. is going to try to take it 3 wide for 2nd place, though, into turns 1 and 2. Johnson moves down in front of him. So it's definitely getting racy for 2nd. And now we have 4 cars all over the back bumper of the 16. If we're going to stay down low for now. Junior almost went up the middle between Hendrick cars of Gordon and Johnson. Got to hope for no mistakes on pit road tonight, especially if we do have a lot of long green flag runs as well. Biffle needs to maintain this track position. Likely going to be a 2-tire stop on this first one, and he's going to go right side tires only. So he's going to have to make sure he does not lock the tires up when coming into the pit lane, because that window is going to open in about 5 laps or less. He's not going to probably pit in another 5 laps, but we'll see some drivers start to pit. Dale Jr., by the way, is up to 3rd. Gordon now in 4th. Johnson remains in 2nd. Jimmy going to stay high, and Dale Jr. is going to move up to 2nd place in the middle of 3 and 4. Jr. with a run. He's going to try to move up in front of the 48. That doesn't happen. Gordon tucked under the back bumper of the 8 car. Jr. taking a little bit of a peek. Biffle again easily leads that lap at the line, though. Gordon going to try to side draft Johnson on the outside. Junior breaking away from the 24, but he has a very strong car, it looks like. No surprise on Talladega. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Michael Waltrip up in the running here late as well. Not sure where he qualified. Definitely deeper in the field than the 8 car. And the right front's starting to wear out just a little bit into the yellow. And Biffle will take right side tires only under this first pit stop of the day, assuming that it will be under green. I don't want to go fuel only this early, though, because if I go fuel only, then I'm going to have to take 4 tires if we do stay green long enough. At least if I change right sides, then I can go left sides on the 2nd stop, assuming we have a long green flag run. You're likely going to see nothing but 4-tire pit stops under cautions if there's any pit stops during the yellow flag conditions. today. So that's pretty much going to be the straightforward strategy from the 16 throughout the course of today's race. Celine66, welcome to the stream. Appreciate that comment. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it as always. It's worth it. This is my favorite game of all time. Biffle actually ran a lap time in the 48.9s that last lap. Not this one, but the lap prior to that. The last lap was back in the 49.0s. It's only the second time he's gotten into the 48-second lap barrier. Wasn't quite his fastest lap of the race, but close to it. Just a couple hundredths of a second off. Some of it might be with the 8 car behind him. I wonder if Dale Jr. is just that much faster than even the Hendrick cars of Johnson and Gordon. You even wonder where maybe even Gordon and Johnson's teammates of Terry Labonte and Brian Vickers might be if they have just as strong of a car. And they are winless on the season. Be a great shot for those guys to get their first win. Of course, in real life in 2006, which would be a couple years after this release of this game, Brian Vickers got his first career win at Talladega with Hendrick Motorsports. A lot of cars on pit road this time at lap 33. So we are on the horizon of the green flag pit stops. Large portion of the field on pit road. I wouldn't be surprised if half the field pit that last lap. We'll see how many more are going to peel off this time off of turn 4. Biffle continues to stay out on the racetrack. Dale Jr. will pit at lap 33. It was more like lap 32 where those other cars pit. Lap 33, that last time Dale Jr. pit, Biffle will stay out. He's definitely not going to pit this time by in case we see a caution in the middle of green flag pit stops. Oh, trouble! Car around Jimmy Johnson into the back of one of the lap cars, and there's a big crash in turns 1 and 2. Johnson just clobbered that car coming off of the pit lane down towards the apron. Johnson almost goes up and over. Kurt Busch comes in and cleans out the 161 as well. And I think Jeff Gordon got into the back of the 48. Second, third, and fourth all in the crash with the lap car, and Biffle will get the pit under caution, as will everybody else who has not made their stop. And that's going to trap a lot of cars one lap down. So it'll be a 4-tire stop. Means it will be under the caution flag, and the Mr. Clean Crew will go to work. No adjustments on the 16 of Biffle. And the drivers who were not a lap down at the time of the caution and already made their stop and were getting up to speed will be the leaders on the restart. So Biffle will no longer be in the lead no matter where he comes out as far as the race off pit road goes. Saw that happen right out of the rearview mirror. I saw Gordon and Johnson fighting for the bottom, and Johnson threw a block on him. Looks like Gordon, actually Jimmy Johnson, will win the race off of pit road. Biffle lost a couple spots on pit road. Tony Stewart will be the leader. He was one of the cars that pitted but was on the lead lap. And Greg Biffle going to be back in traffic for the first time today. Green flag back in the air. Looks like he's going to restart in 12th. Lap cars to the inside of the lead lap cars. And we're back to green flag racing, lap 38. I wonder if we're going to see any cautions for debris after that 4-car pileup in turns 1 and 2. Earnhardt Jr. got lucky. Yeah, he wasn't in it. Jeff Gordon was third in points, though, so that's definitely going to be costly if his car's got a lot of damage. Obviously, both the Hendrick Chevys of Johnson and Gordon looked very fast early on. 3x3 in the pack. This is not where Greg Biffle wants to be. But the caution has kind of put him in this situation. Trying to draft off of Jimmy Johnson. He's going to lose the bottom lane now this time. Off of turn 4. Contact with the 77 of Brendan Gaughan, who's going to make a save down to the bottom of the racetrack, I believe. Now he's in the grass. A little contact up ahead, stacking up the lead pack. Biffle's 3 wide on the bottom. Elliott Sadler in the 38 car is who Greg Biffle's drafting off of as he is back inside the top 10. He gets to the outside of Sadler into turns 3 and 4. Casey Kane now leads for the first time today. Big block by Sadler, and Biffle's about going to get turned by the 0-1 of Nemechek down to the bottom of the racetrack. Nemechek is going to work his way out of the pits. Biffle ran into from behind. They're stacking way up in the tri-oval. Nemechek still down in the grass. And Greg Biffle somewhat saves his race car. He's got a lot of damage to the back. And that was all started after a block off of turn 4 by Elliott Sadler. Biffle was on his outside and he moved up too soon. Biffle's now back to 17th. It's a good thing there's a lot of cars a lap down right now, but he is about 7.5 plus seconds off the lead. He's dominating the race early, and one caution puts him back in traffic, and he's got Dale Jr. right behind him as well. So Dale Jr., I wonder if he's a lap down because he already did pit. It's going to be interesting if Dale Jr. is a lap down or not. Definitely some damage to the rear of Greg Biffle's race car, though. That is not good. Not at all. Looks like Matt Kenseth is back here as well. Maybe Biffle can work with his teammate Kenseth. Clutch, welcome to the stream. So lap 42, Greg Biffle back in traffic for the first time today, and he got caught up in a bad spot where Sadler tried to throw a block, in a battle for 9th in the middle of the pack. Squeezed Biffle into the wall. I don't know how they didn't wreck. Especially the way the 0-1 and the 16 were hooked together going to the bottom, and Nemechek was in the grass. I think he came back up on the racetrack. There's some more carnage in the tri-oval that they somehow, again, didn't wreck. I don't know how much damage is on the back of the race car right now for Greg Biffle. Probably got to be slowing him down a little bit, maybe adding extra drag to the race car. Working almost as a parachute on that left rear corner panel. Matt Kenseth moving up in front of Biffle. Biffle got to go down to the bottom instead, though, with Ryan Newman in the 12. But Newman moves up out of the way, and that's not what Greg Biffle wanted. Wanted to just be able to work with another car. Biffle moved up a little bit. He's 3 wide middle. Matt Kenseth trying to get underneath him as Biffle side drafts the 12 of Newman. Really has to try and hold his line. He's clear back on the bottom. Dale Jr.'s 3 wide middle now with the 141, and Kenseth to his inside and outside. Biffle will clear Newman. Biffle leaving the bottom open for his teammate Matt Kenseth to try and get underneath him. He wants to work with his teammate Kenseth. Smell intimidation to Sadler coming. I don't know if I'm going to do that here. He gets loose in front of us, we might end up having a big one. That was about as close to a big one as we could have seen, and so was that 4-car accident. It's a good thing the field was spaced out when that happened. On the outside with the 22 of Wimmer. 1 car all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack right now, and I think that might be Brendan Gaughan in the 77, and it is. He was the one that made the save. Gaughan is on the inside of the racetrack. Oh, he held up Matt Kenseth, it looked like. Came back up onto the racing surface, and Kenseth had to get out of the gas and go wide to miss him. Well, trying to work with somebody for a shared draft as he continues to lose time. Some of these slower cars. J.R. Jones in the 176 on the bottom. Greg Biffle working with him to get around the 22 of Scott Wimmer, which is 4th position on Wimmer, so now Biffle's up to 16th. And this is what I'm talking about, the bad luck with myself on the super speedways on these EA Sports video games. I don't know what... Rolling fine. We led the first 34 laps. Caution comes out at lap 34, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves 12th on the restart because drivers who already pit but didn't go a lap down yet were able to restart in the lead, and Biffle also lost 4 spots on pit road on top of it. So instead of restarting 8th, we restarted 12th, and we were just even deeper, and all the lap cars on the inside, so there were a lot of cars in front of us still. He was in a good spot. He almost wrecked the lap before, which would have been his fault, trying to block Gone, and then Sadler tried to throw a block on Biffle. He wasn't clear, and stacked the pack up even more. Yeah, depending on our finish and if we even have a shot to get back into this is going to depend on if we end up getting payback on Sadler going forward. But right now, we just got to be calm and just try to get back into this race. Again, I don't think the cautions are done yet. Surprised there wasn't any debris cautions from that accident, because there were some hard hits in there. Jimmy probably got the worst of it. Sadler's had a good season. He just got his 10th top 10 in the first 19 races. Most recent race, California, again 2 days ago. Next 2 races, Coke 600, and then we go to another fantasy another fantasy road course at Dockside. There's a street course race, longer one too at that. 233 laps. It's going to be one of the longest races of the season, along with the Coca-Cola 600. Biffle's probably closed about a half a second or so on Kane since working with J.R. Jones, but now there's a bigger pack of lap traffic ahead of both Jones and Biffle, but they're motivating their way around these cars on the bottom lane. So fantasy driver J.R. Jones working really well with Greg Biffle. Jones going to take it 3 wide in the tri-oval with Ricky Craven, Mark Martin. Some of these passes for position for Biffle, at least one of them in that pack, all the rest were lap cars. Oh, J.R. Jones making moves. He knows he's got a fast race car behind him. And I'm not sure if Jones is on the lead lap or not, but if he is, I see a fantasy driver break into the top 10. At this rate. Yep. Fisherman's 349. The road courses have been hit or miss this season. I seem to either win or struggle. Except for the New York Metro Speedway, I finished 3rd. That's the only one I can think of. Well, I guess Texas I finished 6th also. I guess there's been a couple of them that I didn't win but still had good runs. I have DNF'd in 2 of them. And there was another one I finished 16th. It's just kind of different with every one. I will say the street course races, though, have been a little bit better for Biffle. He's finished 3rd and 1st in both of those. So maybe bright things will come. But I mean, we could have a race like Talladega road course or the Phoenix road course where we had 20-plus cautions in both races. We had 20 at Phoenix and 36 at Talladega. We won Dega, but we DNF'd at Phoenix. Got caught up in too many of those accidents. A lot of them were AI related. I think I only had something to do with like 2 of them. Hoping we don't have another one of those races for ourselves this year. Because with 2 DNFs, we still have a 49-point lead right now, but if we have another one and we go like 100 points back, Dale Jr., there's a reason why he's only 49 back at second. He's finished in the top 10 all but 3 races this year, and he's finished in the top 5 all but 4 races this season. He just had a streak of 5 straight podium finishes, including 4 runner-ups. Sorry, 3 runner-ups, a win, and a third-place finish. Lap car pulling up right in front of some of these lead cars up here. Michael Waltrip got held up. Biffle coming in hot. He had to go to the outside to get around J.R. Jones, who checked up, as well as Michael Waltrip. Biffle up to 11th. The same thing that happened to Matt Kenseth a little while back. We know Waltrip's probably got a fast race car. That'd be someone well to work with for Biffle. He's only 5.2 seconds off the lead all of a sudden, too. Kevin Harvick is now the new leader also. So 4 different leaders in this race today. Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, and now Kevin Harvick. So we're at lap 53. Probably going to be seeing pit stops again between laps 65 and 75. It's just going to depend. The fuel range is probably widened out a bit more with some cars pitting before the caution and some during. Most of the cars that are a lap down right now would probably end up pitting first. Good thing Biffle did stay out of the pits when he did. He's going to go to the outside in turns 3 and 4, so that way he can draft behind the faster, or at least a fast, number 15 Michael Waltrip, and 4 DEI. Biffle's willing to work with Dale Jr.'s teammate. Better than working with Dale Jr. himself, I guess. Who is behind Biffle right now. Whether he's a lap down or not, again, we don't know. But Biffle is ahead of Dale Jr. even in the 12th place position, so that's good. Oh, we got one car blowing up. Oh, Tony Stewart has blown an engine. Biffle bump drafted Michael Waltrip down the back straightaway as well. Waltrip checked up. Biffle trying to get Waltrip to go down low. So Tony Stewart has just blown a motor. He's been good on the super speedways this year. He won both of the Daytona races so far this season. The Daytona 500, the Pepsi 400. Also has a road course win, giving him 3 wins total in the year, but he will not win his 4th race of the year today. He also comes in top 5 in points. So Jeff Gordon got in a wreck earlier. I think he's still running, but he's got a lot of damage. And then you have Greg Biffle, Dale Jr., at least both outside the top 10. They're first and second in points. Gordon was 3rd. And I think Tony Stewart was either 4th or 5th. So the points leaders are having troubles here at Talladega today. That is not what Tony Stewart needed, though. Keeps getting a run on Waltrip. Waltrip's not wanting to stay on the bottom quite as much as what J.R. Jones was earlier. Waltrip back to the bottom, at least in turns 1 and 2 this time. But he moves back up to the outside, and Biffle has to lift to just stay in line behind him. It's not like he's burping the throttle either. He's getting way out of the gas. Such a big run, but Waltrip doesn't want to stay in front. Lap car down to the apron again. That's Brendan Gaughan. Way off the pace after that contact on the restart with Biffle. Joe Nemechek down on the inside of the racetrack as well. Also had contact on the restart. He just pulled up right in front of another car in 3 and 4. We're going to see another accident. It's probably going to be the 77 and the 01 that's going to be involved. If I had to guess. My curiosity is, for those two especially, with running on the apron all the way around the track consistently at a very slow pace, what's going to happen when cars are trying to come out of the pit lane again and they're already down on the bottom? They're just going to run right into the back of him? I mean, that's what happened with Johnson, and he wasn't even on the apron. I mean, he was, kind of. Not intentionally, at least. He just kind of clipped it going into the corner as a lap car was there. It's like a reverse LePage. Instead of going slow on the racetrack merging on, you're merging down at a high rated pace and running into the back of a slow car. Good news for Greg Biffle. He has a teammate of Kurt Busch that he's worked well with on the super speedways this season up in front of him. And he pulls out a line on Waltrip. It might have been a little early. And that will move Biffle back in the top 10 as Waltrip is for position. Biffle in line behind Kurt Busch. Busch stays on the outside though. Biffle. Oh man, Busch pulled down right on top of the 16. Middle of the corner, that was dangerous. Biffle doesn't want to go to the outside. He's trying to get Busch to go down low, and now Busch is going to stay low. We'll see if they can work their way around Bobby Labonte and Jamie McMurray in front of him. They'll get to the inside of McMurray. Labonte pulls down in front of Busch. McMurray was another position. Not sure if Busch is on the lead lap or not. No, Busch was involved in that accident. Sorry for that. Kurt was one of the 4 cars involved in that caution earlier. Now Labonte throws a block on Biffle. And he was not clear. A lot of terrible blocks being thrown today. Especially since that restart. It wasn't that bad before. Murray back to the inside of the Biff. Biffle side drafted him. Has a run, and he'll be able to clear him into turn 1. That was a clean block by Biffle. That's how you block, ladies and gentlemen. Pulled down right in front of the 42. He made sure he was clear first. And the 18. Getting a push from Biffle. Push looking to the inside of McMurray. He wants to latch back onto the 16. I don't even really think the 16 cares who he works with at this point. He just wants to go. Ideally, he'd like it to be a teammate still, but teammate's not doing what he wants them to do. He's not just going to sit around and wait. And with this game, you just never know when the last caution is going to come out. I mean, it's like that with any game, in any race, but this game in particular. I don't think the cautions are done, but we've had long green flag runs to the end of the race before. It would be somewhat shocking, but it wouldn't be like it's a 0% chance that it would happen. Because, again, it has happened before. I don't know if it's so much happened on the super speedway. And we have more cars checking up in the middle of turns 3 and 4. I can understand why Jimmy Johnson's checking up. He was involved in that earlier accident. Biffle's up to 6th all of a sudden now. Rusty Wallace moves down to the bottom. Checked up, thinking Dale Jarrett was going to pull down in front of him. Wallace get to the inside of Jarrett into turn 1 this time. 38 of Sadler working with his teammate Jarrett. First we've seen Sadler since making that contact with Biffle a little bit ago. Down the back straightaway. Wallace. Biffle working together. Can they get to the inside of the 38 now? Biffle back inside the top 5 after falling back to 17th. He's still 5.6 seconds off the lead. Wallace trying desperately to get to the inside. Now Ricky Craven's down on the bottom too. I don't know what happened to him. It was just 2 cars down there. Now there's a third. Sadler's still throwing some big blocks. This time it's on Wallace. All over the front stretch. Jimmy Johnson on the outside of Dale Jarrett for position. Biffle to the inside of Rusty Wallace. Wallace knocks him down below the yellow line. Biffle to 4th. And he's going to have to draft behind Elliott Sadler after the 2 made contact earlier. He's not going to be looking to pass him anytime soon. He will have to be careful, though, whenever Sadler tries to pull off the racetrack and onto pit road with green flag pit stops coming up very, very soon. It could be any lap now. We're going to see cars pit for the 2nd time today. And that's where we saw the last caution happen. And the only caution we've seen so far today. Saw a 4-car crash. Hopefully nothing's... I hope that the big one doesn't happen. The more wrecks we have, the more chances of debris cautions, and that's just going to create more and more yellows, and it's going to be hard to try and stay on a particular strategy when that happens. It's not like with the stage racing where everybody's primarily on the same strategy at most tracks. There are some tracks, like you kind of saw with Richmond this last weekend, that it can vary. Most tracks is pretty straightforward. Not so much when there isn't any stage racing. Pretty much on every single track, there's an open agenda of different strategy calls that you can make throughout the course of the race, especially depending on exactly where you're running. I almost have my skill points maxed out already in the race with all the share drafting that's been going on in the pack. See, this is hurting Biffle's chances of leading the most laps, too, with losing the lead after that last yellow. He was able to lead about 34 laps before that, but he hasn't led since. And it's been almost 34 laps. Haven't seen any of the leaders in the top 5 at least pull onto pit road this last time by. I think everybody might be scared to pit. I wouldn't blame them. Seeing how many cars went a lap down already because of that. I bet about half the field's a lap down right now. Not to mention Tony Stewart also dropped out of the race with an engine failure as well for leading laps. And it looks like Sadler might be pulling into the pits this time. He's really low off of turn 4. Biffle will pull high and Sadler will pit. Kevin Harvick from the lead will also pit. Jeff Gordon will take his first lead of the race today at the line, our 5th different leader of this race. Rusty Wallace stays out. He's up to 3rd now. So we'll wait. Not that many cars pit that time, but a couple of the drivers in the top 5 did. Sadler and Harvick. Rusty Wallace looking to the outside. Biffle's just going to stay in front of him for right now. Try to hold on to every position he can just in case we see another caution. Oh, the 77 just nearly pulled into the side of Biffle. Rusty Wallace checked up, who is right in line behind the 16. There's a 0-1 of Nemechek. He's down on the bottom of the racetrack, and he is coming up on about 2 lap cars that are already side by side. Ricky Craven and Matt Kenseth nearly get together on the apron as Kenseth was trying to get up to speed after exiting pit road, and I think Craven was just down there from before. I don't think he was coming out of the pits. At least I didn't wreck. Not yet, at least. When will Jeff Gordon pit? It won't be this time by. He's about 2.6 seconds ahead of Greg Biffle. And he was even a few seconds behind Harvick. And the 29 car hit pit road. Pretty low on fuel for Biffle right now. Just kind of watching the rear view and watching the track map, see if anything's starting to stack up at all. Nothing that time. Biffle will stay out this time by. We'll get to lap 71. Went green at lap 38. Gordon's still out on the track and is the leader. After being involved in that first and only caution so far today. Rusty Wallace still out on the racetrack trying to close on Biffle for second. Greg Biffle going to try to stay out one more lap. He'll pit at lap 72. Really stretching the fuel tank in the early going to this race. He wants to figure out on a full run exactly how far he can go on fuel. Rusty Wallace and Jeff Gordon both stay out of the pits as well. Wallace down to the bottom of the racetrack right now. And Biffle is out of gas. Right in the middle of turns 1 and 2. He was already on the comeback trail and now he's out of fuel. Well, at least now we know exactly how far he can go. This is costly. After driving all the way back up to 4th place before the pit stop started from 17th, now he's got to be even further back. Jeff Gordon is coming in this time. Biffle really needs to hope a caution doesn't come out while he's coasting, or he's going to end up DNFing because he's out of fuel when the caution comes out, so he is definitely going to be on his way in. He's going to stay as low as possible with these other cars coming in a lot faster onto the pit lane. Oh man, Scott Wimmer coming in hot as well. Biffle doesn't have to let out of the gas at all, and he's on pit road. It's going to be right side tires only. Definitely going to repair some damage and topping off on fuel. No adjustments though for the 16th. So he'll save a little bit of time on pit road, taking right sides only, but he lost a lot of time on the racetrack. Gordon's already going off of the pit lane as Biffle is just getting in his box. Definitely no damage to the engine on the front of the race car. It's mainly on the left rear on that restart. So he's very fortunate, and that's probably why the car still got some speed. And they did buff out a lot of the scratches on the left rear. Brennan Gunn coming in hot on that car coming out of the pit lane. Lap 73, Kevin Harvick will cycle back to the race lead once again. Greg Biffle going to have to... Oh, we have trouble! Car around! Big crash in turns 1 and 2! Oh, man. Another terrible accident. This time it was Robbie Gordon who got nailed by Ward Burton in the 0. Right as the final cars were coming off of pit road from their stops. I don't think Biffle's a lap down. I think he was on the lead lap, thankfully. But that caution is going to save Biffle because he was going to lose a lot of time. But he's going to be restarting pretty much right where he was the last time in 12th. That was a caution Biffle needed. The first caution he did not need. That second one he did need. And the green flag will be back in the air once again, following caution number 2 at lap 73. Green flag back in the air at lap 77. Kevin Harvick leads the field to the green. So at least now we know Biffle went 33 laps on fuel that last run. She went further earlier in the race. So I'm kind of shocked that he only went 33 that time. He was on lap 34 when that caution came out earlier on. He's able to save a little bit of fuel under the caution flag. And he's drafting right back with Michael Waltrip again on the restart. Hoping everybody holds in the line about as well as they can. Biffle gets into Waltrip. That is not what he needed. Caution! Biffle's involved in the tri-oval, and he backs it down the track into Ricky Rudd. The big one in the tri-oval at Talladega. Oh my goodness, that was all Biffle. I don't know what I was doing there. I wasn't trying to really block. I took out about 6 or 7 cars. Ryan Newman involved. Ricky Rudd, like I mentioned. Kyle Petty. 43 of Jeff Green. Well, just even further to the back, Biffle's going to have to go to repair the damage on the right side of the race car. Our third yellow of the day. About 4.4 seconds of damage. Things are getting ugly, man. I hate being in the middle of the pack on the restarts. It's twice now, but this time there was an actual caution and an actual accident that endured, and the Mr. Clean crew will try to buff out the scratches. Once I made contact with him, I was just hooked on him. It's like Terry Labonte got the free pass during the caution. I couldn't get tires or fuel because I brought the caution out. That's my rule. Those that are familiar with the channel know. Didn't want an extra advantage with that. Green flag back in the air. Biffle back to 25th on the restart. This is as far back as he has been today. So we know there are 26 cars on the lead lap, so a little over half the field. Biffle's going to have to pass all but Labonte, it looks like, from the restart onward. Now he's at the very back, which is not where he wants to be if we see another accident. Joseph then, welcome to the stream. Should have put more fuel in the car. I didn't want to do that because I brought the caution out. It looks like there's some contact on the outside. So some sparks flying. Already 3 wide in the tri-oval. Biffle's going to make it 4 wide. I think they're back down to 3x3 as they make it into turns 1 and 2. Biffle has his teammate Matt Kenseth right behind him and nearly makes contact with Ryan Newman, who's trying to side draft the inside lane. Still just shy of the halfway mark today. Kevin Harvick leads on that most recent restart again. Down on the inside lane into the tri-oval. He's caught back up to Michael Waltrip again already. And back down to the bottom. Ray Parker. A lot of checking up going on the back straightaway, probably with all the lane changing up ahead. This is just a mess into turn 3. Robbie Gordon with a big run down to the bottom. You know he's got heavy damage. That spin had to have hurt those left side tires as well for Biffle. So he took right sides only during his green flag pit stop. They're 4 wide off the exit of turn 2. Ricky Rudd looks to be clear up high. Biffle doesn't have any help down low. Still 3 wide with Vickers and Waltrip above him. R6, welcome to the stream. Waltrip going to move down in front of Biffle. He's clear. Found a hole on the inside. Squeezing underneath of Robbie Gordon. Waltrip making moves to try and get back inside the top 10. He's there. Now Gordon hops in line between Waltrip and Biffle. Biffle to the outside. Got pinched and he just kept going up. Finally gets around Robbie Gordon. Gordon hops back in line behind him though. Massive run on the back straightaway. Waltrip wanted to hop down in front of the 16. He couldn't do it. Gordon got stuck 3 wide middle, so he couldn't really go with Biffle at all. And Biffle's gaining a ton of ground on the inside. Inside of McMurray for 8th. Biffle just restarted 4 laps ago. At lap 81 we restarted, and Biffle, I guess it'll be 5 laps at the line, but he's gone from 25th to 8th in 5 laps. He's passed a lot of lap cars as well. Definitely lacking a little bit more grip as well with those older left side tires. He took 4 tires during the first stop because he pitted under caution, but that most recent pit stop was under green. That's why he only took the right sides only. Massive run underneath Dale Jarrett, Casey Mears. 3 wide. Still 3 wide. Trying to draft off of Rusty Wallace. 2 seconds off the lead. It has been a while since Greg Biffle's led in this one. It feels like it, at least. A lot has happened since lap 34. It's been over 50 laps already. Biffle wants to win. Yes, he does. First ever night race at Talladega. Looks like there's some smoke in 3 and 4, and you can see on the track map. Oh, man. Rusty Wallace cutting it close. Trying to pinch, and now he's side drafting Biffle. Biffle makes a pass for 6th. He'll pull up in front of Wallace. Biffle going to go back to the outside and let Wallace around him. He had a big run on Rusty, and Rusty moved off the bottom a little bit, and that's why Biffle got underneath him. And it looks like there's another car who has lost a draft at the very tail end of the pack. Looks to be running at a decent speed, though, so I don't think really going to be slowing up all that much. Never mind, I think they are slow. It didn't look like they had a blown engine at first, but they are definitely off the pace on the back straightaway. I think they might get to pit road before the leaders get around to them, though. Jeff Gordon took the lead a couple laps ago from Kevin Harvick. Second time Gordon's led tonight. Wallace pulls up right in front of Biffle. Biffle going to bump draft Wallace on the back straightaway. Risky to do that with the Gen 4 cars. Risky, but it paid off that time. Wallace couldn't actually get down to the bottom, though, quick enough. And Biffle drafts behind his teammate Kurt Busch. I don't know how, but these 2 Roush teammates of Busch and Biffle find each other a lot on these super speedways this season. And you can see him right here, running 5th and 6th towards the front of the pack. And never mind, I'm going to not second guess, but I'm going to third guess my original statement that the lap car, or at least that car that lost the lead draft, does not have a blown engine because he's still out on the racetrack. Probably another car that got shuffled down to the apron of the restart. I did not see who it was. Or it was probably after that stack up, actually, that was in the back of the pack that we were way ahead of at the time. It's a good thing Biffle got out of there when he did. I wasn't caught up in that mess. Played Sadler right in front of Kurt Busch. Lap 91. Almost halfway home. Bump draft to Kurt. Trying to get this 3-car pack to maybe catch the leaders. 1 second off the lead. So they work their way off of turn 4 against slow car all the way down on the apron into the tri-oval. Shouldn't be that big of an issue. And it's Joe Nemechek again, so that's the second time he's been down there. Push to the inside of Sadler. Biffle, of course, going to go with his teammate. Both of them inside the top 5 now. Up to 4th and 5th. Biffle hasn't even been back in 4th since that first caution earlier today. That's as high as he has been, and that was right before the second caution. Or the pit stop to the second caution. He was in 3rd, but that was because of the green flag pit stops, and Harvick, who was in the lead at the time, had pitted before him. Couple laps shy of the halfway mark. Tonight's Aflac trivia question is, who is the most recent driver in the NASCAR Cup Series to win at Talladega while also leading the most laps in that race? Yeah, tonight's first of 2 trivia questions. Means I did not get to one last night. Who is the most recent driver in the NASCAR Cup Series to win at Talladega and lead the most laps in the same race? Answer to that question will be at lap 100 if you guys don't guess it in the chat down below. No hints for tonight. Well, that didn't take long. Mark DeMar says Ryan Blaney, and that is the correct answer. Ryan Blaney in the spring race in 2020 led the most laps and won. It's the only race Ryan Blaney has led the most laps in and got the win in his NASCAR Cup Series career, but that is the answer to the first trivia question tonight. I was not expecting anybody to get it that quick, but that is the answer. I figured somebody was going to get it because it wasn't that long ago. That's the first of 2 Aflac trivia questions on tonight's race. Busch and Biffle working together to get by Jimmy Johnson. Kevin Harvick still all over the back bumper of Jeff Gordon, who leads after wrecking earlier. Johnson also involved in an accident. Kurt Busch was involved in that same accident. Biffle was involved in a separate wreck, which was in the 3rd yellow of the race. The only guy in the top 5 right now that wasn't in an accident was Kevin Harvick. Just goes to show you're never out of it if you can just stay in the draft at Daytona and Talladega. Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle working together. They're going to move up to 2nd and 3rd here shortly as they get around Kevin Harvick as well. Great teamwork by these two. Kurt hasn't led a lap yet today. He's still in the top 10 in points, so he would like to get a lap led. Biffle's going to abandon him. He's going to get to the inside of Busch. And Biffle wants to be that first one to get back to the lead. As he's up to 2nd, he'll clear his teammate, and he's got to run on Gordon. He's going to look to the outside. Gordon's going to try to go up and block. Thinks better. Oh, no! Trouble! Gordon is in the wall. Biffle is with him. Biffle tried to hop in line behind Gordon, and he turned him. And it looked like a couple other cars in the back of the pack, or the back of the top 10, were also involved. Gordon backing down the racetrack right in front of Rusty Wallace. That was just a mistimed error into turn 1 for Biffle. Well, so much for getting to the lead there, and it looks like Biffle's going to have to pit and repair more damage. He's bringing the whole field in, too. Can't take fuel or tires because he caused the accident. 4.7 seconds of damage. This will cycle Biffle to the lead, but he is going to be on a separate strategy right now following our 4th caution of the race. Joshua Michael Brown, welcome to the stream. He says Dale Sr. and Matt Kenseth was also guessed, as well as Harvick and Johnson. But again, the answer to the first trivia question tonight was Ryan Blaney. Biffle will be the leader. It looks like Jeff Burton also didn't pit. So there were a couple drivers that didn't pit. It's not like it was just Greg Biffle. That's probably why Jeff Burton is up towards the front of the field all of a sudden. Lap 100, green flag is back in the air following caution number 4. Again, Biffle could not pit for fuel or tires again because he caused that accident. A missed timing of pulling down onto Jeff Gordon. And he's hoping that we get another caution at some point in this one, but he's going to have to hold off the pack on older tires. Move up right in front of Ricky Rudd. Not sure who would have gotten the free pass that time. Second accident Gordon's been involved in today. I was hoping he was going to save it, but he got it into the wall and it just hooked him right around. Jeff Burton pushing the Zero Ward Burton, his brother. Brother and brother working together as Ricky Rudd gets to the outside. He's a lap down, though. He'll get by Biffle. Biffle will draft off of Rudd. I don't think the cautions are done yet. We just got to hope we're not in the next one. That's the problem. We weren't involved in the first 2, but we've been involved in the last 2 that we've had. I don't get involved in many accidents either, and 2 of them have been my fault now. Feel bad for taking anybody else out with it. A lot of Roush cars at the front right now. Jeff Burton, Matt Kenseth, Greg Biffle. And Biffle's in the sucker hole off of turn 4. Burton to the inside. He's trying to lead his first lap of the day. Biffle side drafting his teammate to move up in front of Rudd, who will lead this lap at the start-finish line. Burton going to try to go up. He thought about blocking Biffle. Burton, though, will lead his first lap of the day. He's only got a couple top 10s this year. He's been probably the weakest link at Roush this season. Of the 5 cars, Mark Martin really not that far ahead of him in points either. He scrapes the wall. Tried to go down and side draft Kenseth as much as he could to try and not lose as much momentum. Up the middle, 3 wide goes Greg Biffle. What a move. He may get to the lead. Nope, he's still 3 wide middle. That didn't work out quite as well. Got very desperate there. Kenseth and Burton side by side. He's going to get back to the outside. Kenseth will lead his first lap of the day. I believe that is the 7th and 8th different leader of this race today. Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Jeff Burton, Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick. 7th different leader. Wade Zielinski, welcome to the stream. Sore not for talking. Oh, you are sore for... Yeah, for not talking. I didn't know if you said for talking a lot or not talking a lot. Ricky Rudd really trying to get his lap back. I mean, he could get the free pass if we see another caution. Looks like Biffle's going to lead this lap at the line. Kenseth's going to hold on. Trying to side draft Biffle, but Biffle got a really, really big pull on Kenseth into turn 1. Biffle going up the track on those older tires, though. Kenseth with a crossover in the middle of the corner. Little bit of contact. That was dangerous. Jerry Khalif, welcome to the stream. Burton to the inside of Kenseth. Kenseth thought about throwing a block. He didn't do it. Jeff Gordon's trying to work his way back up here again. Look at Elliott Sadler trying to lead his first lap, potentially. He's 3 wide middle between Rudd and Burton. I think Kenseth led that lap by inches at the line. 1, 2, 3 for Roush Fenway right now. And a wild race under the lights at Talladega so far. 4 cautions in the first 100 laps. We just went green at lap 100 from the most recent yellow. Greg Biffle a little off strategy with the rest of the field, and he's going to have to pit probably within about another 10 or 15 laps. At the very most 15, probably close to that 10 lap mark. Biffle in the middle. Kind of going up the track on those older left side tires. Kenseth gets in the wall off of turn 4, and that's going to give Elliott Sadler his first lead of the day on the bottom. Assuming Sadler will lead at the start-finish line, now he'll be the 8th different leader, and he will lead at the line. Sadler's had a great season. Biffle got really loose into turn 1. He's going to come right back up into traffic. Very fortunate not to get ran over by the pack. Got loose into turn 1, and it just took him all the way down to the bottom. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna need a new pair of pants when I come on the pit road this time. Oh my god. Definitely going to be changing those left side tires when he comes to pit road. Thing took off. Oh, big block by Burton on Gordon. Biffle only fell back to 5th. He got very fortunate the pack checked up behind him. I mean, it was an alright save. I came back across the field and I got a look at it and get hit. I didn't want to spin out again. I can't afford to cause another accident. It's hard to get away with one. I've already been involved in 2. You can tell all the corner panels are in the yellow right now. I don't want any to go in the red. That's going to be the danger zone. Potentially DNFing. Then we'll definitely lose the points lead, assuming Junior's still in the race. Haven't seen him in a while. We have had a lot of accidents. I don't think he's been involved in any of them, though. I think Biffle's going to get to the inside of Burton for 3rd. He's going to have to pit really soon. Now, he's going to take left side tires only. He should be able to stay on the lead lap. I don't think he's going to go a lap down with taking 2 tires when he does make his spot. Ideally, if we get a caution before he has to pit again, that's going to have to be the case. So he's going to have to be careful not to lock the tires up when he comes on to pit road soon. 1/8 of a tank of gas left. So I'm only going to go 1 lap after it says fuel tank almost empty instead of 2 this time. Definitely staying out as long as possible in case we get our 5th caution before Biffle has to pit. We've had cautions right around when he's pit the first 2 times today, whether it was under caution or under green. All 4 tires looking worn. I don't know. I just need to stay on the lead lap, though. I don't want to lose a lap, because if we get a caution while we're a lap down, unless we're in the free pass position miraculously, which I don't think we would, at least under the first yellow, we'd have to race our way up into it. I don't know how many more cautions we're going to get at this point. 79 laps to go this time by. Gonna need a backup fire suit, yeah. Biffle to the inside of Jeff Burton again. Burton keeps running the outside. Biffle doesn't want to run up there. They're definitely losing Sadler and Kenseth right now. We've seen a couple accidents during green flag pit stops. The only 2 green flag stops we've seen today, so I'd imagine if we do see any more yellows, it'll probably be in the middle of green flag stops. Jeff Burton with a terrible block on his teammate Biffle. Stacking up the Roush Fenway Fords and allowing Jeff Gordon to get to 3rd. Harvick closes in 6th again. So Biffle's going to pit at lap 112. He'll stay out this time by. He'll pit the following time by. He'll have enough fuel to make it around that far. In desperate need of a caution flag. Mr. Clean Crew going to have a clean stop. Keep Biffle on the lead lap. Gordon running the bottom. Biffle and Gordon picking up a little bit of pace. Gordon goes high all of a sudden off of turn 4, though. Biffle will get underneath him for third. Biffle's going to have to make sure he's going to be on the bottom lane with nobody underneath him this next time off of turn 4, because he's going to have to pit. He's not going to be able to go another lap on fuel. Likely not a full lap, at least. He's going to clear Gordon off of turn 2. Big block on the 24 car. And here comes Harvick. And Burton again. Harvick to the inside of Gordon. Biffle blocks the 24. He's going to hold these guys up a little bit. You never know how much that could help him later in the race. And Biffle will pit off of turn 4. Can't lock the tires up. Here he comes. Speed limit is 70 miles an hour. Doesn't want to speed either, and he does not. Great job getting down without locking the tires up. Left side tires only for Greg Biffle on pit road, and he'll top off on fuel. And the Mr. Clean Crew will go to work for the 3rd time today as far as fuel and tires go. Man, that was not a fast stop. 12.6 seconds, despite taking left side tires only. Biffle's going to be in the lead lap for now. He is getting up to speed. .45 seconds off the lead. Biffle back to a race low 27th place position. So he is the last car in the lead lap. So the 27th is where he's going to have to be if he's a lap down to get the free pass if he does go a lap down. He's got fresher left side tires than the rest of the field. The right side tires pretty even, if not maybe a little bit older. So in handling, he should be pretty equal with the rest of the field. It's a good thing he took 2 tires, though, because if he would have taken 4, he would definitely be a lap down. Sadler is still the leader. And again, Biffle has not led since lap 34. He got up to 2nd right before that most recent caution. Got alongside Jeff Gordon on the outside, and that was as close as he got to leading since lap 34 when that very first caution came out. And the string of yellows have held Biffle back that he just can't get through the field entirely. Been able to work his way back in the top 10 twice now. And something else ends up happening. Well, never mind. I guess I did lead on the restart. But that wasn't supposed to really happen. I just couldn't take fuel or tires under the last caution flag as I brought out the yellow. Currently a 16-lap green flag run so far. I'd have to imagine everybody's probably going to pit between lap 130 and 140. Everybody else, at least. Biffle obviously could stay out a little bit later than that. Not going to get the second trivia question yet. I don't have it yet. I was trying to look it up during the pit stop. We get another yellow, or whenever I have to make my 4th stop of the day, I'll make sure I get that trivia question for you guys. Took 2 tires, so I couldn't quite find something. And here comes Elliott Sadler in the 38. We'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Well, that didn't take long. Biffle went high to block Sadler, and Sadler just blows around him on the bottom. He had that gigantic run, and he really faked the 16 out quite a bit. Biffle trying to stay the draft in the 38. Doesn't want to be the first car lap down and have to be all the way towards the back again. He didn't lose Sadler in the draft, though. He was able to hop back in line behind him, and here we go. Into the tri-oval, down to the inside. The subway forward underneath the M&M's Ford. And clear into turn 1. Biffle back on the lead lap. And a caution at any moment would extremely help Biffle. He's going to have to fight for this. Like Sadler was really pulling away from Kenseth and the rest of the pack too, as they got separated towards the front when right before Biffle pit. Sadler on the outside of the Biff. Sadler still there. Biffle about a half a car length or so ahead of him into turn 1 on the bottom. And now Sadler's getting a little bit of an edge. Biffle goes up to try and side draft the 38, and he has to again drop in line behind him. And the right front now is in the yellow for Biffle. He has to pit the next time under green. It'll be right side tires only. Biffle not going to be able to get around Sadler that time. I think this is a patriotic M&M's paint scheme. I see the one of the yellow peanut M&M on the back with the American flags. Big block for Biffle on Sadler. He was clear. Sadler put Biffle back in traffic a little deeper earlier with a bad block and squeezed him into the wall at one point. Caution didn't come out for it. Dropped Biffle back to 17th. We're running back up to 4th before we ended up getting a caution during green flag pit stops when Robbie Gordon got ran into hard from behind by Ward Burton. Comment down below, how many more cautions do you think we're going to see in today's race? I'd like to see your guys' answers down in the chat below. Not how many total, but how many more we're going to get from this point on. We've had 4 totals so far, and we have 68 laps to go at Talladega. I'd have to assume 2 more pit stops remain for everybody. Two more for Biffle, 2 more for the rest of the field. So definitely not going to be able to make it on fuel. Even if they stretched it to lap 140, they'd be 48 laps remaining in this race still. And I don't even think we've seen one driver go 40 laps on a full tank in general, let alone 48. It's just not possible at Talladega. Celine 69, or sorry, 66 says 2 at least. Billy Kramer says 2. I just wonder if we're going to see a caution that's not in the middle of green flag pit stops for the AI. Not for me. Obviously, we've seen 2 of them, but they were for me. I know it's possible. It's happened. 4. Matt Kenseth closing in on the 38. I will say Biffle's at least helping his teammate in that aspect. Sadler gets in the wall off of turn 4. It's going to stack him back even more. Kenseth has a pretty big run. And Sadler is the 8th different leader in this race today. Yeah, that was a slip up. I didn't actually mean to say that. You'll have slip-ups from time to time when you're live streaming, especially every day. You're bound to have it happen a few times. From time to time. Sounds like getting a little loose, clipping the apron in turns 3 and 4. Bigger run, though, coming by Sadler on the outside this time around. Matt Kenseth closing in. Kenseth going to go with his teammate Biffle on the bottom lane. Sadler alongside the 16 of Biffle still into turns 1 and 2. Kenseth down on the bottom. Sadler with a little bit bigger of a pull. Kenseth going to get to the outside too, though, and Biffle can't pull up in front of his teammate. It happens all the time. Slip-ups are 69. Or both. Full back to being the first car lap down. Now he's got 2 leaders in front of him, Matt Kenseth and Elliott Sadler. And he'll bump draft his teammate, Matt Kenseth, giving him a big push. Sadler goes down to block the 17. Kevin Harvick also in this lead pack, looking for the lead. That was a massive shot. Caution! And Biffle's a lap down. Oh, man. He's going to get the free pass. Dale Jarrett has crashed all on his own in turns 3 and 4. 1 and 2, rather. Nobody else involved. He just lost it. It's worn out surface. A little easier to happen. Low downforce race cars. Biffle's going to have to pit during the caution flag. He should have the free pass regardless. It looks like everybody's coming onto pit road. I would think even with pitting, we should get the free pass. He just lost his lap, about a lap and a half before the caution came out. So it doesn't matter where he comes out on the pit lane. I think he's still going to be 27th. It should be the last car on the lead lap. He will also have to restart at the tail end of the longest line, which would be the lead lap line anyway. Gonna take 4 tires. Means he has the free pass anyway, and he's not gonna lose or gain any spots here. So this should make it a one-stopper after this one to the end. And everybody's right back on the same fuel strategy again, so at least that's good for Biffle. Or ask why couldn't it be 6'9"? I wouldn't have gone that far. Sure, there's a reason why it's 66. Oh, contact coming out of the pits. Who was that? Mark Martin and Casey Mears? Yeah, so Biffle should be back in the lead lap. At least he got the free pass, but would have been a little bit better. He could have potentially gained some positions on pit road. And here we go. Green flag is back in the air. 59 laps to go at Talladega. Oh boy. He's got a little bit of damage. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose the draft. He did not take off very well in the restart. He got around 1 car. It was Wagner in the 198, and the rest of the pack just pulled away. Matt Kenseth restarts in the lead, by the way, at the front of the field on the restart. At least if they have a wreck here off of turn 4, Biffle will be behind it. Well, they didn't have a wreck. He's going to have to let the 198 go, and he's going to have to draft in line behind him. 198 car is for position. Greg Biffle just gained a spot randomly. He was in 27th, now he's in 26th. Elliott Sadler to the lead. He was leading when the caution came out. He's back in the lead again after Kenseth won the race off of pit road. Remember, you pick based on the Celine S7. Tony Walker. Why did I say Wagner? Walker in the 198. I think there's a Wagner in this game that's a fantasy driver. Not this guy, though. So I'm trying to catch the back of the pack. Little two-car tandem down the back straightaway as Biffle is pushing the 198 car. He's going to stop pushing them when they get into turn 3 and into the corner. Go back to the shared draft. And now he'll pull out a line as he's going to catch the back of the pack, and we'll see if Biffle can get through it this time. Can't go off strategy anymore the rest of the race, especially now that he's back on the normal strategy with the rest of the field. He's also going to be relying on drivers hopefully not getting into him. Saw Dale Jarrett spin on his own. Last thing we need is to have that happen in the middle of a giant pack. Look at the run on the inside for Greg Biffle. 4 wide into turn 3. Down towards the bottom of the racetrack. He lost a lot of momentum, though. Nobody went with him. That's the third time we've seen 4 wide already today at Talladega. And probably not the last. Big run on Labonte into turn 1. Labonte ran really low. Biffle went down below the yellow line, but that was just to make sure Labonte wasn't going to hit him. Off of turn 2. Lane changing in the middle of the pack down the back straightaway. 198 miles an hour into turn 3. Some contact with the 142 car. Michael Waltrip stuck 3 wide middle between Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett. It's a Ford sandwich. Pierre Jones tried to block Biffle. Biffle gets underneath him, and now he's 3 wide. Martin still up towards the outside lane. Waltrip trying to block all 3 of these lanes. He doesn't know where to go right now. Biffle's back up to 15th. He was in 27th. And that's as far back as he has been in the race all day long. It was on the restart. 59 laps to go. 3 wide pass, gets around Waltrip for position. Gets out of the gas before running into the back of Dale Jarrett, but he had Waltrip and Petty clear. Waltrip was for position. Petty was a lap down. Biffle looking to the inside of Dale Jarrett. Jarrett with a bad block. He was way underneath of him. And Jarrett's in the wall now in the tri-oval, and he'll lose some spots. Biffle didn't really lose too much momentum, though. He's still in the draft with Robbie Gordon. Don Evans in the 161. Clear Jeff Green for 12th. Oh, they're stacking up! Something happened in the middle of the pack on the back straightaway. They're fanning out now. They're 4 wide into turn 3 as Biffle's still making passes down on the apron. Oh, and he gets into Jimmy. That was a bad move. They were still 4 wide. And he tried to get up onto the racetrack, and Johnson gets shuffled to the outside lane. Now he is in the wall. Contact. There's another car in the wall. Contact with Rusty Wallace up ahead. I think it was Harvick. We got sandwiched. Biffle's up to 8th all of a sudden, but Ryan Newman is leading for the first time today. He has not won yet this season, and the Rocket Man's just got a gigantic lead on the field. He was a lucky dog in all that. He must have been ahead of it. The slow car through 3 and 4 right now on the track map. Wants to get Ward Burton down to the bottom lane. He doesn't want to run the top. Jeff Burton was wanting to run the top earlier. What's with the Burtons wanting to run the outside of Talladega? Biffle will pull out a line and make a pass. Ward Burton is a lap down too. Oh, Burton's in the wall. Biffle cleared him cleanly. Burton just kept going up the track. Now Biffle's going to go high and let Burton back underneath him. Burton on the bottom now. And Biffle has not had the lead on the same strategy since lap 34. Had the lead at one point for just a couple laps on the second to last restart, but it wasn't on the same strategy. And he was going to have to pit in extra time to the end if that caution for Dale Jarrett spinning in turns 1 and 2 didn't come out. I don't know who the car is closing in from behind on Biffle and Burton. Biffle's literally letting out the gas, trying to indicate for Burton to get down to the inside, and it's just not happening. Ward Burton does not want to run the bottom lane. Massive run into turn 3. Bump drafted in the middle of 3 and 4, and on the outside, probably not the way to go about it. It was like, if you want to run the top, you got to be aggressive. I don't know if this is the right way to go about it, but we'll see. There's 6.5 seconds off of Ryan Newman right now, too. That's the sad part. The other pack isn't that far ahead, but Ryan Newman is really out there. And it looks like whoever that is on the bottom of the racetrack just stacked up a couple of the leaders, Jamie McMurray and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Biffle has a massive run on both Jr. and McMurray on the backstretch, 3 wide to the inside, and this will move Biffle up to 7th. One of those cars is a lap down. I'm thinking it might be Dale Jr. I hope it is. Just for Biffle's points' sake. Biffle couldn't quite clear the 8 car. He cleared McMurray. He's still in 7th, so yeah, Dale Jr. is a lap down. Oh, Ward Burton. That was close. Tried to throw a block on Biffle. Biffle barely kept it off the wall and barely kept it off of Ward Burton. Jamie McMurray on the inside looking for 7th on Biffle. Oh, Burton's in the wall off turn 2. Biffle aggressively bump drafting Dale Jr. Trying to get Jr. to the inside. He doesn't want to race down there either. Jamie McMurray will go down to the bottom. Biffle with a massive run on the 8. Way out of line down to the bottom. Now we'll pull up to the outside in front of Dale Jr. Really wants Jamie McMurray to get around him. Ward Burton wants to run the top. Dale Jr. wants to run the top. Maybe McMurray will run the bottom. He's on the bottom right now. Not sure if he'll stay there, though, if he gets in front of Biffle. Jr. to the inside. pinching Greg Biffle, though, right now. And Biffle's just going to have to fall in line behind Dale. Now Dale goes back to the outside again. So Biffle's going to undercut Dale Jr. Murray pulls up, though, in front of Jr. now. No drafting up again for Greg Biffle. McMurray pulls to the bottom into 3 and 4. That's what Biffle wants. So McMurray will run the inside. Biffle will follow him in the 8th place position. Murray's dodge does seem a little quick, too. Really good car to draft with if you're Biffle. Just gonna bump draft him on the backstretch. Biffle very, very aggressive with Jamie Mack. Couple of rookies from the 2003 season and their second full-time season in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. One looking for a championship, another just looking to improve in the standings today with another top 10. "44 laps to go as we run. Everybody has to make one more pit stop. We've had 5 cautions today. Will we see a 6th? Under the lights at Talladega. Racing for about 2 hours now. Tomorrow night's live stream going to be a little bit shorter of a race. The NASCAR Nextel Cup Series All-Star Race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, at this time known as the Lowe's Motor Speedway. It'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night. McMurray's going to go to the bottom. He's probably going to check up here. Jeff Burton checked up. The lap car is all over in front of Burton. Biffle on the outside. He's going to lift as he gets around McMurray. And he has a teammate to work with of Jeff Burton. Burton tried to run the outside, though, earlier. Hopefully he runs the bottom this time. And it looks like he will run the bottom. So Biffle's got a teammate to work with, and he made a pass per position on McMurray for 7th as well. 8 seconds off the lead, though. They're losing time to Ryan Newman still. I think Biffle will gain a little bit of time going with a 2-tire pit stop. Going to take right sides only, but that means he's going to need the left side tires he has on now to make it to the end of the race. He's asking over 60 laps on those left side tires. It's quite a bit. So we have to make sure he doesn't lock the tires up when he comes onto pit road as well. The Roush cars of Jeff Burton, Greg Biffle are pulling away from Jamie McMurray and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jr. a lap down. I'm not sure if he's the first car lap down or not right now, but he is a lap down. Which would mean he's already outside. He's at least 27th. Could be a big gain in the point standings today for Biffle if he just can finish it off. It's been a roller coaster of a day. Like he was going to have a dominant race car, and well, it is Talladega, so it's hard to actually maintain that track position at the front of the field. It's gone back and forth through the pack so many times already. It hasn't led on the same strategy since lap 34. It's been about 112, 114 laps and counting as of right now. This is the second time we've been under the lights at Talladega this year, now that I think about it, because we were at Talladega for the road course under the lights earlier this season. We lifted a little bit in the tri-oval. Lost about 1/10 of a second that last lap to Newman. She's trying to stay behind Burton. Now comment down below. I'd like to see. I asked you guys how many cautions we were going to get the rest of the race earlier. Now I'm going to ask you how, or I should say, do you think we'll see a new winner on the season coming into this race? And drivers that we know that have been running towards the front of the field for the most part today, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Burton, Ryan Newman, they've all led laps. Kevin Harvick's led some laps. All those drivers still looking for their first win of the year. Elliott Sadler also led some laps. Matt Kenseth's led laps. Kurt Busch has been in the top 3 at one point. I don't think he's led yet. He's been close. 3 of the other Roush cars have obviously led. Had to lift again. Just trying to regather himself on these bumps. Willie says we're not going to get a new winner. And the drivers that have won this season that have been running towards the front, Tony Stewart, but he's out of the race. He blew an engine. Greg Biffle has led laps, but it was mainly very early in the race. Jeff Gordon's led infrequently. I think that's it of everybody who has won a race this season. Dale Jr. hasn't led yet. He's a lap down right now. Basically unpredictable, yep. Pretty much. But we're trying to predict it. Again, we know everybody's going to have to pit one more time. That window's going to open in a few laps, so I'm sure we'll see some drivers pit as soon as the window opens. Biffle! Oh man, he was lifting and he still got into the back of Jeff Burton. He may lose the draft off of Burton with that stack up. That was not needed for Greg Biffle. That's a tough break. Lap car nearly pulled right into the side of Burton. It's Casey Mears down on the bottom now. Look at how quickly Biffle's losing time from Ryan Newman, the race leader. I think Biffle's going to pit as soon as that window opens, but he's going to take right sides only to try and stay on the lead the lap, so that way if we get a caution in the middle of green flag stops again, he could cycle to the lead on a similar strategy for really the first time today. It's going to be a bold strategy plan because he really needs to hope he stays on the lead lap, but I think with right sides only, he should be able to. As long as he's not too far off the lead. He's obviously losing time right now. He's just over 9 seconds off of Ryan Newman, the current race leader. If we're going to go wide, he's going to let McMurray go. He knows McMurray wants to run the bottom. Murray trying to get by. He's clear. He'll pull up in front of Biffle now. Biffle back in the draft. Or a draft. 9.5 seconds off the lead. It was about 7.3 before getting into the back of Jeff Burton. .35 to go. Biffle's going to pit with about 33 laps to go then. 2 more laps. There are some drivers on pit road right now, but he's only been able to make it about 33 to 34 laps into a run. So he's going to make sure he waits till 33, so that way when he comes out of the pits, across the start-finish line, it'll be 32 to go. He'll definitely be good on field at the end if it stays green. Although we could see a caution before that with the cars pitting now. Then I don't know if we're going to make it because it's a little bit outside Biffle's window. We'll see. There's some cars working their way off the pit road as we speak. And working their way into turns 1 and 2. Oh, McMurray just checked up and Biffle's upside down. Biffle has just rolled over. And no caution after he flips at Talladega. Heavy damage to the 16. Oh my goodness. How did that happen? I don't know how there wasn't a caution. Greg Biffle just flipped in turns 1 and 2. I think it's the first time we flipped this season. He's going to have to pit. There's heavy damage to the rear of the race car right now. He can't stay out and have that debris fly off either, because then the caution's going to be on him. An abrupt pit stop, for Biffle. And he almost sped coming in. That was pretty close. He had to lock the tires up. It's going to be right sides only. And he's going to have to top off on fuel. Heavy damage to Greg Biffle flipping in turns 1 and 2 at Talladega. No caution. That is unbelievable. I'm surprised he didn't DNF. I don't know why McMurray checked up. The cars didn't even pull up onto the racetrack in front of him, and he was well off the bottom lane. He's definitely going to go a lap down now, though. Yeah, he's already a lap down. That is unbelievable. Back to 21st. Well, it wasn't the big one, but we see our first flip of the day, and it is Greg Biffle in the 16. I don't think I've ever seen that in this game before, where somebody has flipped and no caution came out for it. Well, except for Bobby Labonte on the last lap in the Bud Shootout, but no cautions come out in the final lap in this game. And I don't even know if Biffle's going to have enough fuel to make it to the end. He pitted a lap earlier than what he wanted to. I have never seen that before. He's a lap down. I doubt he's the first car a lap down either. Heavy damage on the 16. There's McMurray, who he ran into the back of. Ward Burton going to pull up in front of him. The right side tires just climbed the outside wall and Biffle hit it. Draft behind McMurray. These guys could probably go to about the mid-lap 160s before they absolutely have to pit. Car down to the grass in the tri-oval. It's Casey Mears. Biffle drafting with McMurray. Trying to make up as much time as he can. Biffle's just hoping he can get back on the lead lap before we see another caution. "30 laps to go for Ryan Newman. It'll be 29 to go this time by. There it is, 29 laps left. And the bad luck on the super speedways just continues. I mean, who would have thought? I did not think we were going to flip today, but we did. Race is not over, but I don't know. We might be a lap short on fuel. It's going to be really close there. If he can't make it, he'll at least be able to finish on the lead lap. He'll get some of these spots back. I don't know how many. Just to not DNF after flipping is just insane. I saw the rear of our car was in the red. I'm very lucky that there was no oncoming traffic either from behind. Biffle got back down on all four and started going down the bank into the racetrack. Oh, we have more cars pitting this time. Ryan Newman, the race leader, is going to be on pit road. How many more of the leaders will follow him in? Well, Jamie McMurray pit. He's inside the top 10 still, I do believe. Right in front of Greg Biffle. He will not pit this time. Kurt Busch will lead his first lap of the day. I believe he is the 10th different driver to lead a lap in the Alabama 500 at Talladega. I think we're going to hold off on that second trivia question tonight just because things completely flipping upside down on ourselves in this race that maybe we just got to stay focused for these last 27 laps. 26 to go this time by now. I'll get two probably during the Coke 600 then on Thursday, considering that's a longer race too. Just praying that nobody is going to wreck behind him. Those cars coming out of the pit lane, and a giant pack of cars is rolling in the middle of turns 1 and 2 as we speak. Pass a Robbie Gordon for position. He was in a wreck earlier. Derek Booth, welcome to the stream. Jamie McMurray going to stay out again on the bottom. Kurt Busch still stays on the track. We'll just continue to draft with McMurray. Oh no! Casey Mears! Right in front of the field. He just pulled a LePage in front of McMurray and Biffle. Are you kidding me? What was that? And I think McMurray McMurray missed him. Biffle was the only car that hit Casey Mears. He pulled out in front of his teammate McMurray, and more problems for Greg Biffle. And the left front's in the red. He's going to have to come down onto pit road again, and he's trapped a lap down. And the rest of the field, who didn't already pit, will pit as we speak. And Biffle cannot take fuel or tires, being involved in another accident today, our 6th of the race. I don't even know what that was. Wow. I think he was on the bottom of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2. He was running the apron pretty much all the way around. There were cars coming out of the pit, so he went high to miss them at a slow rated pace and pulled right up in front of McMurray and Biffle, who were tandeming. This is just insane how bad this race has gotten for Greg Biffle. There are not that many cars on the lead lap, though, with that caution coming out in the middle of green flag pit stops. Who knows? Maybe we see another yellow. I wouldn't doubt it. Biffle will restart 22nd. Probably, right in the middle of the pack, it looks like. On the restart. We don't know how much speed the car's got in it. Definitely a lot of engine damage. And we have 21 laps to go on the restart. Will we see another caution late? Can Biffle get in the free pass position before that yellow can potentially come out? I think Casey Mears is still in it. He has to have a lot of damage. Biffle's really slow right now. Vicker's going to get around him on the outside. I imagine Dale Jr. is still a lap down. Oh, Mark Martin! Pulled up right into Biffle. His teammate of all drivers, and he stacked up the pack behind him, except for just a couple cars. Good save by Martin not to wreck in front of the field. Half the field at least. Ryan Newman in the lead on the restart. He cycled back out in front. Pitted a couple laps before the caution came out, but he was still on the lead lap, so that's why he was able to get to the lead. And the rest of the cars that had to make their final stop pitted during the yellow. Biffle's not close enough to draft off of Brian Vickers. They'll let Kyle Petty go and try to draft in line behind him. I think Ward Burton just got the wall off of turn 4 behind Biffle. $18 laps to go in the Alabama 500. Petty checking up. He's on the outside, which again is not where Biffle wants to run. Mark going to get back to the inside of the 16. I think there's another car below Martin. They might be 3 wide, and Biffle is on the outside. They'll clear Martin. Yeah, there was a car down low. I couldn't tell who it was. Biffle's 3 wide middle now. It's Dale Jr., of course. That was not for position. Jr. get back on the lead lap. Either that or he's either on the lead lap or he's 2 laps down. It's tough to tell right now. Biffle's still in the sucker hole, and he's finally back on the bottom behind Ward Burton. And he is losing spots late in this race. If Jeff Gordon gets a good finish, this is really going to help him in the points. Stuart DNF, who was right behind him in points. Dale Jr. might be 2 down, and Greg Biffle, the points leader, is 1 down. Biffle going to lock bumpers with his teammate Martin down the backstretch. Risky, knowing that he's got a lot of damage. Yeah, I flew when I went to Auto Club about a month and a half ago. That was the only time I've ever flown. It's not bad. And Kevin Harvick back in the lead. He just got around Ryan Newman. 17 laps left. 18 if Biffle could get back on the lead lap. I mean, he could get back on the lead lap and then a caution comes out, but at this pace, he still has a lot of cars to pass. And he's probably only... Yeah, he has lost spots because he was in 22nd when caution first came out. Now he's 24th, just past Martin for 23rd. Good move. He's close enough to draft off some cars now. Trailing behind Russell Jackson in the 142. There's not many cars on the lead lap. So if Biffle can get there, it'd be a miracle. Remember, he flipped in this race on top of that very vicious accident you just saw moments ago with Casey Mears. His car is severely damaged. Getting spots back. 3 wide to the bottom with a massive run. They'll be able to clear Vickers. They will be 3 wide by the time they get into turn 3. Drafting with J.R. Jones in the 176. Biffle's up to 18th. He's cracked the top 20 again. On the inside of the 176. Into turns 1 and 2. Scott Wimmer down on the bottom. Ray Parker pulls down to the bottom. Biffle going to draft behind Parker on the inside. Parker to the inside of Scott Wimmer. Biffle pushing Parker. Parker clipping the apron a little bit. If Wimmer's 4th position, Biffle's going to get back inside the top 15. And that was not a spot. Down the backstretch, Parker almost pulled up in front of Biffle. Hopefully Biffle didn't pull out of line too early. I think he might have. I don't think he was close enough to get a draft off of Riggs yet. He had a run on the outside, and he passed Parker for position. Parker almost gets into left rear corner panel of Biffle in the tri-oval. Biffle staying high into turns 1 and 2. Scott Wimmer on the bottom lane. And past Biffle for position. Biffle working with Wimmer. Sorry, Wimmer was not for position. He's not on the same lap as Biffle, so it's probably better he's drafting with the 22. Seems just a little bit quicker than what he was with the 141. I'll make the pass on him. He's close enough to the pack of cars in front of him now. 43, 161, and 10. Riggs is for position. Don Evans in the 161 car. On the bottom lane, getting help from Biffle. Biffle gives him a giant push into turn 3 on the bottom of Jeff Green, who is a lap down, an extra lap down. Or he's on the lead lap. He's on the lead lap. What a great finish for Jeff Green and RPM today. We'll have 10 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by. If we get a caution, all the lap cars will line up behind the lead lap cars, which again, if Biffle can get back on the lead lap, knowing there's not too many cars on the lead lap, you just never know. He didn't take off well in that restart with the damage, though. I can't imagine he would take off well on another one. Plus, if a caution comes out with less than 5 to go, the race will probably come to an end as well. I don't know if he can get to Kevin Harvick before that. He might get to him by the end of the race. Oh, lug nut violation. You scared me. I thought it was like another Brad Keselowski-like penalty. That was... Surprised that wasn't announced sooner if it was just finally announced today. Considering the Xfinity race was over on Saturday. With a big bump draft to Evans. Massive shot into turn 3. He almost lost Evans. Nine laps to go. Can Kevin Harvick hold on to get his first win of the season? He's been so close so many times this year. In fact, last time we were at Talladega on the Talladega road course, he led the most laps in that race. Got passed with about 8 to go on a late race restart, and then ended up DNFing in a hard crash. That backstretch hairpin. Biffle to the inside of the 161, and maybe for a position. And he's trying to draft off of Bobby Labonte, who is in front of him. Probably not going to work out too well. Labonte pulls up in front of McMurray, and Biffle has to draft behind Evans again. $5 o'clock is the stream on Thursday. Murray going to get back around Bobby Labonte. We know McMurray's on the lead lap. Labonte going to cross over. Big block by the 161 on top of Greg Biffle. That really stalled the run out for the 16. With that contact, I'm going to doubt the 116 car isn't for position. Biffle may be in danger of losing the draft. Would have been all Don Evans' fault, too, after chopping him off in the middle of the back straightaway. Biffle just barely holding on right now. His last chance is going to be down the backstretch if he's going to want to stay in the draft. Got Bobby Labonte on the outside. Bonnie pulls more to the middle now. And that might have been it for Biffle. He's still hanging in there, barely. I don't think he's going to be able to last much longer. And he has lost. The draft of the cars in front of him. We know Jeff Green's not for position, so Biffle will allow Green to get by so he can draft behind him and try to catch those cars who just passed him. Or I should say that stayed in front of him and pulled away from him. Just in case Bobby Labonte or the 161 car is for position. I believe this would be Greg Biffle's 6th finish outside the top 10 this year. Or maybe another restart where he can get around a few cars. If we're going to get a restart, if we do see yellow, it's going to happen soon. I think the 161 just got squeezed into the wall by Bobby Labonte and McMurray as they were 3 wide off of turn 2. So that allows Biffle and Jeff Green to close the gap really fast into turn 3. They're going to work together and probably get around the 161 car. We'll get to find out if he will be for position or not. And he is. Biffle to P13. Murray's on the lead lap. I'm not sure about Bobby Labonte. We know Jeff Green's a lap down. 4 laps to go. Big run for Biffle to the inside of Jeff Green. Needs to clear him. He does. If he would have been stuck alongside of him going into the corner, he probably wouldn't have been able to hang on to the draft of Labonte and McMurray. And as they slow each other down with a side draft, Biffle's closing in on Labonte. McMurray pulls down in front of the 18. Biffle to the inside. He doesn't have any more help. He might be racing Labonte for position. Now McMurray pulls down to the bottom. And Labonte is for a spot. Biffle up to 12th as he clears Labonte in turns 1 and 2 with drafting help from Jamie McMurray. Little Jamie, baby. Two laps to go for Kevin Harvick. They get to the white flag. The next one will be the checker because no cautions come out in the final lap in this game. And with McMurray and Biffle working together, can they actually catch another car for Biffle to be able to pass for position? There's 4 cars up the way. I don't know if they're going to get there or not in time. But if they do, Biffle, who flipped with less than 50 laps to go, might have a shot to get a top 10. I don't know if they're going to get there, though. It's a long racetrack, 2.66 miles. Final lap for Kevin Harvick. So close so many times. And finally, one is going to fall his way. And he led a lot of laps today, too. Definitely deserving of the win. He still has to bring it home to the checker. And I'd have to imagine Ryan Newman's right there with him. Harvick does not want another heartbreaker late. Biffle bump drafty McMurray. He knows McMurray is not for position. I don't think he is. I'll try to pass him coming to the line just in case, but I don't think he is for a position. Biffle to the inside, into the tri-oval. Side drafts McMurray. No, that is not for a spot. Checker flag waves. Kevin Harvick has won the Alabama 500 at Talladega. And Greg Biffle, after flipping, comes back to finish 12th, but still finishes one lap down. I think he'll take that, all things considered. That was a rough one for the 16 team. Casey Mears LePaged him with less than 30 laps to go. This was a wild race today. 6 cautions for 18 caution laps, 21 lead changes in the race, 3 hours, 17 minutes total time on this one as well. Margin of victory just 0.2 of a second. Kevin Harvick wins, gets a max points day, leading the most laps today with 51 laps led. Rusty Wallace finishes in second. He didn't lead a single lap. Kurt Busch finishes third. He led 5. Ryan Newman led 30, finishing 4th. And Michael Waltrip with another good run. He'll round out the top 5. Jamie McMurray in 6th. Jeff Green 7th. Scott Wimmer 8th. Jeff Burton 9th. And how about that? A generated rookie driver, Tony Walker, finishes in 10th. Gets a top 10 run today. As far as Scott Wimmer, another rookie, finishes 8th. McMurray, really young driver, finishing 6th. And there were only 10 cars who finished on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson would have been for position if Biffle could have caught him. So Biffle was the second car a lap down at the end. He led 40 laps today, which I believe would have been the second most. Sadler led 27. Dale Jr. finishes 27th. He did lead 1 lap in the middle of green flag pit stops today. So he gets 5 bonus points, but only a 27th place finish. 12th for Greg Biffle. Jeff Gordon also outside the top 10. He finished 16th, so Biffle is going to at least pull away of everybody in the top 4 in standings still. Because Tony Stewart blew an engine earlier too. So even with the 12th place run, Biffle still finished better than the drivers trying to chase him for the championship. And as far as the drivers who DNF'd today, we had a lot. Sterling Marlin blew an engine. Casey Kane blew an engine. Tony Stewart blew an engine. Joe Nemechek was slow. He blew an engine. Matt Kenseth blew an engine. Brendan Gaughan. Casey Mears, of course, got in that last wreck with us. Ricky Craven was very slow. Bobby Labonte actually finished. Oh, never mind. I didn't realize. No, those guys didn't DNF. There's only 188 laps. So only 5 cars DNF today. Surprised it wasn't more. All the cautions we saw. We saw a big one. 1 point. Greg Biffle flipped. You'll get to see on the highlight reel Greg Biffle flipping after contact with Casey Mears. That was earlier in the day. We nearly wrecked, but we didn't. It was after Ellie Sadler threw a bad block on us in the tri-oval. Saw they had a good angle of us flipping earlier. I think it's the next clip. Yeah, there it is. Boom. Yeah, we were all the way. It was a complete barrel roll. I thought we were just up on our side. That was a barrel roll at Talladega. And we not only didn't DNF, but we finished 12th. Crazy. That was after Casey Mears pulled up right in front of us. Or no, that was Sorry, that was when McMurray checked up for somebody on the bottom, and I don't even know why he checked up, but he checked up, we ran into him, we got in the wall, then we flipped. No, the Casey Mears accident was like 10 laps after that. He pulled up right in front of us. Man, that's a hard lick. I didn't think we barrel rolled all the way over. All's well that ends... Well, needless to say, I mean, it wasn't that bad. It could have been way worse. And we'll try again tomorrow night. That's the best thing. We're racing again on this season tomorrow night. Though it is not going to be a points race, it will be the All-Star race at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you guys then. And that's pretty much it. A wild race at Talladega tonight under the lights. It was a spectacle, to say the least. Maybe in some ugly ways. We saw a flip. We saw a big one. Everything pretty much Talladega delivers on. Late caution has set up a pretty close finish there. Harvick got around Newman with around 10 laps to go, give or take, and was able to hold on and get his first win of the season. So well-deserved. 40 laps led for Biffle today. That means he is only 47 laps led away from 2,000 laps led on the season. 400 lap Coke 600. He's going to have a good shot to get there on Thursday night. But that's going to wrap it up here tonight. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow for the All-Star race on NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005. We'll see if we can win $1 million for Greg Biffle. He never won an All-Star race in his career. We'll see if we can win him one tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow night.